welcome to episode number 1 of the International Journey. Today, we will take you to discover the University of Cincinnati. But to get started, we'll take you to downtown Cincinnati so that you can discover what the city looks like. From there, we'll bring you straight up to the university so that you have a campus tour and see all the beautiful buildings that we have. After that, we have an interview that we're going to propose to you of an alum, an international student who has actually done a couple TED Talks, a great guy to talk to. And finally, we'll share with you all the resources you need to know about the university, such as the admission process, tuition fees, scholarships, and all the important opportunities here. Let's go. The University of Cincinnati is located in Cincinnati, Ohio. It is home to 117 buildings distributed across 3 different campuses. Its campus is described by Forbes News as one of the best looking campuses across the United States. Cincinnati was founded in 1788 and was incorporated as a city in 1819. It is home to 9 Fortune 500 companies in the United States and is also described as one of the best cities for college grads. Cincinnati's weather is warm and humid during the summer, very cold during the winter, and it's partly cloudy year-round. The temperatures can range anywhere from -4 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. Cincinnati, Ohio is a typical Midwest city with lots of things to do during the weekend. It is home to several sports teams, such as an MLS team called FC Cincinnati, a football team, the Bengals, a baseball team, the Cincinnati Reds, and a hockey team, the Cincinnati Cyclones. This makes Cincinnati a very lively city. The nightlife also, it's very popular, as even in winters, people are still outside trying to have fun. Here we are at the campus of the University of Cincinnati. It is home to more than 45,000 students, of which 4,300 are international students coming from more than 100 different countries. As you can see, the architecture of the buildings are a blend of old school and new school. The internship program at the university, or also known as core program, for those of you who know the term, is ranked number 1 in the nation among public universities and number 3 overall in the United States. Our co-op students earn collectively up to $75 million per year. They work in 22 different countries and 44 different states.
Hi, my name is Sid Thatham. I am originally from India. I moved to Cincinnati back in 2012 to go to grad school here. I got a master's in chemical engineering and an MBA, and after graduation, I ended up working in Cincinnati at UC. In fact, the first time I ever heard of UC and Cincinnati was during my junior year. My neighbor told me, Sid, you are going to go to Cincinnati and get a master's degree just like my grandson. And I'm like, Sid, what, Cincinnati? What? I've never heard of that place. And the next thing I know, I'm here in Cincinnati. I'm here at UC getting a graduate degree. So that was the beginning of my journey of being an international here at UC and in Cincinnati. To join UC was a little interesting. The biggest deal breaker for me was the fact that I didn't get a scholarship from a lot of other universities, and UC was giving me a scholarship, a partial scholarship, but a scholarship nevertheless. I had made some friends that were going to UC, and I spoke to them about, hey, what do you think is the program like? Is it good? What are the prospects? What do you learn? Can you please tell me about the coursework? So talking to people who were students here gave me a certain confidence that, you know what, I can take a shot with UC. You could say that it's word of mouth, but I think listening to students who ideally are from your own country, who can tell you more about the program, can help you feel at ease, and you can kind of have that feeling of, you know what, I know I'm going to a place where I don't know a whole lot about what's going on, but people who are from the same place as me are there and they're doing it, so I think I should be okay. So that kind of gives you that confidence to actually go over to whatever university it is, and in my case it was UC, to actually take the jump and be like, you know what, it's going to be okay. So the criteria was that it was a little familiar in terms of what I had heard from people who were from the same city as mine, who were the same country as mine, and the cherry on top was the fact that I did get a scholarship from UC. My international student experience at UC has been amazing, to say the least. I was a graduate student here for 5 years, and I've been working here since then. But the student life was pretty tough. I'm not gonna say that it was all rosy, but it was really tough. But I think that that's what made it really good. As an international student, or in fact even before that, as a kid back in India, I used to watch all sorts of American movies and American TV shows, and I'm like, oh, this is what it's going to be like if I move to UC or move to the US to study. And I got here and I'm like, okay, so I need to explore that, I had a list, a proverbial list, if you will, of things that I wanted to do, and I'm like, okay, check, oh, I couldn't do this, looks like I can't. So I did a bunch of things that I wanted to do. I did a bunch of things that I had no idea that I would do. If somebody would tell me, hey, you know what, 5 years down the line after your student life is done, you're gonna have done all of this stuff, I would have laughed at them. But long story short, the amazing experience that I had at UC was because of the fact that I got really involved on campus. I made a lot of friends. I met a lot of people that I never thought I would. I learned from their experience. I learned from the cultural exchange that I had on campus. I could almost say that the experience that I had was very different from what I had grown up watching in these movies and the TV shows, and I think that's what made the time that I had at UC the most amazing time that I just didn't even think I could have. Some of the challenges that I personally had as an international student were financial, absolutely, because you're an international student, you are not allowed to work off campus, so managing your finances is key. The other major challenge that I had was time management. Like I said, I love getting involved on campus, and the downside of that is that it's fun, but where do you stop? One involvement leads to another, this group leads to another, and you make a bunch of friends who are involved in this group. They're like, hey Sid, you know what, check out that group, I think you'll love that group. So at what point do you stop exploring? At what point do you stop being involved? Or can you do it all and manage your time as a graduate student? Can you still manage your research? Can you still manage your on-campus job? Can you still manage getting your job applications in and stuff like that? So to me personally, yeah, finances, all international students do deal with that, but to me, time management was a big deal that I had to learn pretty quick. And I think that it's one of those things that if you could get the time right, if you could be efficient when you're supposed to be efficient, it leaves a whole lot of time to do as much as you want. So that would be my one key challenge that I had to deal with. There are a bunch of things that I wish I had known prior to me moving to the US to study. The first thing that comes to my mind is try to understand the academic environment that I was in. I think me, including a lot of the other folks that I met here, were like, hey, you know what, we're going to move and we're going to then figure it out as we go. While that works, there are times when I wish I had known things about the academic pressure, about how research really works. I had not done research before, so that took a decent amount of figuring out. I wish I had known the importance of building a network of people that you can fall back on, that you can rely on for just support. It comes down to how you define support for yourself, but I wish I had known that the people around you are the people that you're going to have to fall back on, to rely on, to lean on, and more importantly, how do you leverage that network? These are some things that I wish I had known. I think other things like finances, entertainment, what am I going to do if things go south, all those things are just life lessons that people deal with and people learn with as things come and things happen. It's one of those things wherein you cannot really prepare for everything, so there are things that you learn as you roll with the punches, but I wish I had known more about my academic life and what I was getting into, especially from the research perspective, before I got here. My message to international students, especially international students who move to the US, is that make sure that you make the most of your time here. In my case, and in the case of my friends that I kind of spent my student life with, there was a sense of, yes, we're here in the US. We could have gotten our degrees regardless of where we studied. We could have studied outside the US, we could have studied back in our own home countries. So the studying part, the getting a degree part, could have been anywhere, but we were here in the US. So the idea is, what else can we take away in addition to your degree when you graduate? And my message is that make sure you focus on that question. The answer to that question will be very different depending on who you are, what your priorities are, but just make sure that you take away more than just a degree when you graduate. The answer to that question for me personally came with the fact that, you know what, going back to my initial response of, hey, you know what, I'm in the US, I need to do this and that because I grew up watching this on TV, or I need to explore this and that because that's something that I did not have access to when I was back home. Things like that. One of the quotes that I kind of lived my student life by is that you are the average of the 5 people that you meet, or the 5 people that you spend the most time with. I think it's a quote by Jim Rohn. That quote kind of guided my student life, my time through grad school here at UC. Ask yourself what kind of person you want to be when you graduate, because like I said, you could have gotten a degree outside the US, your home countries or wherever it is, but the fact that you're here in the US, what are the things that you couldn't have done had you studied somewhere else? And make sure you do it, because there actually are a lot of things that you can only do here in the US. And like I said, they're probably going to be very different depending on what you like to do, what your priorities are. Just make sure that you take away life experiences, make connections, and take all that away in addition to your degree when you leave. So make sure you explore and ask yourself that question again and again.